Welcome back, folks. I'm Jake Ellenbogen, and today we're going to be talking about the prospect Brock Bowers, what my thoughts are on him, and why I think the Rams not only potentially take him if they trade up into the top 10, which I already, mentioned in another video, but I think it actually might make a lot of sense, and I've opened up to the idea. So before we get started, be sure to like, subscribe, and comment. Also be sure to follow me on all social media at JK Bogan. And now let's get into it. So Brock Bowers, Georgia. This is a tight end, standing at 6'3", 243 pounds. He is not the physically imposing, project prototype, 6'6", made in a lab, 260, like a Rob Gronkowski. But what he is very agile. Just his athleticism is crazy. And really, this guy was a 3-year starter at Georgia. He played 37 games as a starter, and he was utilized all over the field. What a lot of people might not realize, and if you haven't watched the film and you just heard of him or you watched a game, maybe, you weren't aware of it. He's not overly tall or big. He's 6'3", he's 243. He's closer to more of a bigger receiver, if anything. 52 of his 126 targets were screens this past year. 78 targets he had were in the slot, 47 inline, 22 outside. And he led college football in yards per catch for his whole career. Shout out to Underdog Fantasy, by the way, for giving me that info. There was a great video that Hayden Winks and Josh Norris did on him that I ended up watching a while back. So that's where I got that info from. Wanted to cite that. But Bowers ran a 4.53 at his pro day. He missed, of course, the combine due to a hamstring injury, which I guess is a little concerning for some people. But the speed's evident on tape. I don't care that he ran a 4.53. I care that 4.53 clearly is on film. And the thing about him is that he's a mean route runner. This is somebody that really just kind of dominates the field. When he is on the field, it. He makes the loudest, he makes the loudest statement, if you will. You always know when Brock Bowers is on the field. And I think the thing that he does well is he affects the game with the ball in his hands or not. And, he's a willing blocker. He can work inline. I think he could be a starting inline tight end, but you have to understand something. If you're drafting Brock Bowers, if your team does draft Brock Bowers ultimately, he's not somebody you draft to just be an inline tight end. You have to have a creative offensive mind before you go out and you draft a guy like this. So teams that don't have imaginative offenses, they probably would be best not to take Brock Bowers because they wouldn't be able to get the most out of him. His footwork is great. Stop and start ability, very, very dangerous to cover. Hesitations, head tilts, things along that nature can really throw off the timing of a corner. Does a really nice job. Just has the ability to get open, which is really key and critical in the NFL. He's got great ball skills. First thing I noticed on film is they'll throw it all over his radius, and he's going to go out and he's going to go and get it. And he might not be 6'8", and be a basketball player level tight end, but look, it doesn't matter because he's willing to go up and high point the football and catch it out of his radius, and he's comfortable in doing so. And he's Mr. Reliable in that sense because you can throw it outside his frame and he'll come down with it. You can also throw it when guys are right then and there. Contested catches he can come down with. So I like that about him a lot. He's got the athleticism to be used in the slot, a gadget player, inline, outside. I already mentioned that. But he took end arounds, and that's the thing. Like, you can use him as a gadget guy, and he can make things happen. And by having him on the field, he opens up the door for other guys to eat as well. So that's something to keep in mind. The contact balance, the best way I can explain that, he has the best contact balance of any tight end that I've ever watched. He has upper echelon contact balance. You hit him in the legs after a 2-yard flat, route into the flat, maybe a sprint out or whatever, or a screen pass. He's turning that into 20. Okay. And I understand at the NFL level, when you have NFL tackling as opposed to college tackling, you're more likely to go down on those, but he shows a lot of lower body strength, leg drive, all those good things that you want to see. And he can turn those 2-yard plays into 20-yard plays. And he can get to that edge and he can run down the sideline. Does a really nice job of, going down the sideline, tight roping his way down the sideline, not stepping out of bounds. He is 21 years old. He will be, I think, 22 by the end of the year. So that's something to keep in mind, is that he's a little bit younger. I think when I watch him, he could be the Travis Kelce of your offense. Now, I am not by any stretch saying he's Travis Kelce, okay? I'm not saying that. Kelce's bigger. He's not Travis Kelce. But what he is he can be that Mr. Reliable on third down. When in doubt, give it to Bowers. Throw it over the middle to Bowers. He's going to hang on to it. Very, very reliable. Nightmare in the open field as a ball carrier. When you watch him, he's not trying to go down on first contact or second contact or third. He's just going to keep fighting and fighting and fighting. Very reminiscent to what we see from Puka Nacua on the Rams. In addition to that, he's got fantastic hands. He only had a 4.4 drop percentage in all of college football his entire career. So I think he offers a lot as a player. But what are his weaknesses? The first thing is he's not a big 6'5", 250-pound tight end that people want him to be. Is that really a fair weakness? No. But it's added because I had a hard time finding weaknesses in this guy's game. He's good at really everything. He can run routes. He can catch everything. He, can help you in different ways on the field, can get guys open. His presence is going to put a lot of stress on the rest of the defense. He's not a dominant blocker. He's good. He's a higher end wide receiver blocking. That's how I would look at him. Because at the tight end level, you would expect more because of the 243 pounds on him. But he's as good as, I would say, probably like a Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, like top-notch wide receiver blocker. He's not going to be George Kittle dominant. He's not going to be anybody like that dominant blocking. But he doesn't get enough credit for his blocking, in my opinion. He did fumble twice this year. So is ball security a concern? Maybe a little. He had tightrope surgery, the same surgery Cooper Kupp had back in October on his ankle. So that is a little bit of a weakness there. Not really in his game, but something to keep in mind. And again, he missed the combine because of a hamstring. There you go. Not a lot of weaknesses with this Brock Bowers guy. So Brock Bowers, final thoughts here, and then we'll get into the grade and whether or not I think the Rams should draft him. Bowers is special. He's a different breed of pass catcher. Size 6'3", 243 pounds. To me, it's not just the speed at 4.53, because Kyle Pitts ran a 4.4. It's not just the speed. With him, it's the total package. It's the hands that come with him. It's the speed. It's the agility. It's the blocking, which is good enough to start in the NFL. It's just the whole well-rounded nature of him. I think he's a very safe prospect with a very low bust potential, and I think a very, very high. And this is, you very rarely get these guys, but I think he's got a massive ceiling, and I think he's got a really, really, really high floor. So you don't normally find these guys, but he's like a cross between George Kittle and Cooper Kupp. That was my player comp for him. I think when you realize Cooper Kupp is almost like a smaller, tight end. He's 6'2" and around probably 220. Looks that way anyway. Cooper Kupp almost moves the same way that Brock Bowers does. They have like a similar running style, more like rugged, and they just look angry when they're running. And George Kittle, I see it from a receiving standpoint. I'm not saying at all that George Kittle as a blocker, is that what he reminds me of? Because George Kittle's a different animal as a blocker. But I do see those two, Kittle and Kupp, as comps. Worth mentioning, Brock Bowers ended up grading out as my third overall player. And that's behind only Marvin Harrison Jr. and Joe Alt in this class, because I, of course, regraded the offensive lineman. So, yeah, I think he's 100% worth a top 5 selection in this draft. And I think the positional value is the only reason, because you're not getting a huge discount. You're drafting a tight end who's going to be one of the highest paid tight ends immediately. But at the same time, he'll probably be the best player available wherever he goes. And I don't think anybody should complain about getting a guy like Brock Bowers. I gave him a 9.4 out of 10 in agility, 9.2 out of 10 in play strength, 8.6 out of 10 in blocking, 9.4 in hands, 9.5 in release, 9.4 in route running, 9.6 in catch in traffic, 9.5 in speed, 9.9 in yak ability, yards after the catch, and 9.5 in ball skills. I gave him just a 94 grade, 94 overall grade, which puts him third in this class. So those are my thoughts. Now, to wrap it up, should the Rams trade up to get him? I don't see why not. I don't see why not. He is somebody that, in my opinion, I just think that, you know, if you're looking at making a splash, you haven't had a pick in however long, you know, obviously I know 2016 is the last time you took a pick in the first round. Make a splash. If we're reading the tea leaves, Diana Rossini said Sean McVay loves this player. So to me, I have to assume it's probably an offensive player. This is an offensive-minded draft at the top. Defense will get better on day 2 and day 3. Still not great defensively. So trading up, it's likely going to be, because the Rams are rumored to trade up into the top 10, it's likely to be one of Brock Bowers, Rome Odunze, Malik Neighbors, Olu Fashanu, and if Joe Alt falls. So that's it. Now, I am going to probably guess right now, my thought process is that it's Brock Bowers. I think it's going to be Brock Bowers right now. Now, I totally see the need for an offensive tackle. I totally see the want for an offensive tackle. I have a higher grade on Alt if he's there. And Fashanu, I have the 4th overall grade. He finished just a tick below Brock Bowers. But with that being said, folks, would not be surprised if Brock Bowers is an LA Ram. What he would do is he could fill in the void after Cooper Kupp. He could be that option. You're not just drafting a tight end. You have to remember this. If you're going to draft a guy like Brock Bowers, you have to remember this is not a tight end. This is something different. This is not Kyle Pitts. This is not George Kittle. This is not Travis Kelce. This guy is his own thing, okay? There are not many guys that move around the way he does. And again, 4.53, I understand that's not the fastest time ever when you think about guys that are running 4.3s in this draft. But at tight end, carrying 243 pounds, being able to run that's pretty nice. That's not even the thing that, you know, impresses me the most. It's how agile he is. He's crazy agile. I mean, how is this even possible? I don't know. I'm watching the tape and this guy's moving in ways that he shouldn't be moving. And then you see, yeah, he's a willing blocker, but you see the yards after the catch and you're like, this dude is a gym rat, clearly. His leg drive, his contact balance, psh. And you think about, what is it that Sean McVay cares the most about? He cares about blocking, but he likes yards after the catch. He loves yards after the catch. This guy is no different than Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua. He's just not a wide receiver. And if he had WR next to his name, people would be like, oh, top 5 pick. But because he has TE next to his name, there are people saying, I don't know, I'm thinking top 15, top 20. I know because I'm guilty of doing it too. We were talking about this guy in the top 5 not that long ago, January, February. And now people have him going to the Bengals at 18. He's not falling that far. I think he's going at 8 to the Rams. I think the Rams are going to trade up and get him. Maybe not 8, but I think the Rams are going to get him. Doesn't nullify my mock draft though. But I think right now, based on, you know, what we've heard and everything that has come out, you know, recently, I think Bowers is the pick. Those are my thoughts. If such, well, this video will take off. But I didn't make the video for that reason. Brock Bowers was actually next on my list to make a video for. I wasn't going to be able to make a ton of videos. It's just this draft process has flown by. But I didn't do as much as I wanted to do. Hopefully I did enough for you guys. But again, hope you guys enjoyed. If you haven't already, check out my other video on the top 10 trade up. And if you haven't already, check out my mock draft. But until later tonight, hopefully you're there at 8 p.m. Eastern time. I will see you guys then, but we'll see. Anyway, should be fun. Should be very fun. And as a football fan, I'm excited to see where Bowers goes in general. If he doesn't go to the Rams, I'm just excited to see this guy play football on Sundays. So that's all I got for you guys. Appreciate it, and I'll see you guys soon. Later, folks. Do you love talking about the Rams, the NFL, or just want to be a part of a community? Join my free Discord server today. We're over 800 members. We got 24/7 live chat, a level 3 boosted server, the ability to call into JE Live, playing online games with us on Kick streams, toggleable alerts for when I go live on YouTube or Kick so you don't miss a live stream, and exclusive giveaways. Click the link in the description, the comments section, or the link that comes up in the video to learn more and join today.